Let's talk a little bit about Christmas cards. Christmas cards are the red cards. You'll notice that most of them have this transparent tree on the back. Christmas morning cards have that darker green tree on it, so that's the only distinction there. There are 4 types of Christmas cards, and these are labeled on the banner on the front. So the 4 types are Holiday Hero, Christmas Spirit, Decoration, and Christmas Tree. Christmas Morning itself is a Christmas Spirit card. Technically, it's got a different colored banner, but it is played just like a Christmas Spirit card. So briefly, let's talk about how each of these cards would be played during your turn. Decorations are the simplest, and we'll do a slightly longer video on decorations, but if you have a decoration in your hand on your turn, unless you are prohibited by some other card from performing basic actions, you can lay down a decoration in your home. You do not need to have a Christmas tree to lay down a decoration. Sometimes your Christmas tree will be knocked down or cut down or lost for any other reason. Even if you don't have a Christmas tree in your home, you can play a decoration. Almost every decoration has between 1 and 4 small presents at the bottom. That's your gift icon that contributes to your gift limit. And your gift limit, when you add up the sum of all of those little present icons in your home, tells you how many presents, unopened presents, you can lay down in your home as part of your normal turn. Now, there are occasions where you can have more presents than your gift limit would permit, but when you're taking your turn and deciding if you can play another present from your hand, that gift limit is going to tell you whether you can or can't. So we'll talk more about that in some of those other videos. The second type of card we can talk about is the Christmas tree. Now, you will have gotten one of those at the beginning of the game, and in a lot of cases it's going to stay there throughout the game. So in this example here, I already had this one there. You can play another Christmas tree if you would like to. There are some rules for that. You can check the rule book, but basically if you've got another tree and you want to swap out your first one, you're perfectly allowed to do that. So you would just go ahead and discard this other tree. If you've got tree-based decorations, you can transfer them to your new tree, but that's really all I do is you just swap it right on in there. Totally fine. You can only have one Christmas tree in your home at a time though, so you do have to swap out the old one if that's what you want to do. Holiday Hero cards and Christmas Spirit cards are very similar. Holiday Hero are going to be cards that you're probably very familiar with, things like Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, Jack Frost. Christmas Spirit cards are more conceptual. They're more like Christmas ideas. It's things like carolers, Christmas Eve, Christmas dinner, a lump of coal, getting your tree. These cards have a variety of actions that are going to be associated with it, and it's always going to be down there in the instructions. So for either one of these cards, when you play it, that's all you're going to do is follow those instructions. And they don't stay on the table unless stated otherwise, and some of them do say to keep them on the table, but in general, if I wanted to play a Holiday Hero or a Christmas Spirit card on my turn, after I draw a card at the beginning of my turn, I would just play that card, read the instructions, perform whatever actions it says, and then discard it. A few of those, like I said, will stay on the table, but that will be clearly labeled on the card itself. The biggest difference really between a Holiday Hero card and a Christmas Spirit card is that other cards will often reference these. So for instance, there is a present called a Good Book that says, go through your Christmas cards deck, pull out any Holiday Hero, and play them immediately. So that's where that distinction would come in, and the same often applies to Christmas Spirit cards. There are just a couple other things I would point out about Christmas cards. One of them is that a few Christmas Spirit cards have a stopwatch action associated with them. That's that stopwatch icon there, and the instructions for that are in the box that the stopwatch is located within. There's only a few of these. There are many stopwatch actions on presents, but only a few on Christmas cards. So those are played just like any other stopwatch action, and you can watch the stopwatch video or check the rule book for that. But basically those are cards that can be played as an interrupt even during other players' turns. So there's some special rules associated with how that's done, but check out those videos for more information on that. The other thing that I wanted to mention are 2 special Holiday Heroes. They're Jack Frost and Scrooge. You can see they're labeled as Holiday Heroes. Now all these instructions are on each card, but these 2 are just slightly different in the way they're handled. In that when you play Scrooge, he goes on top of the presents deck. And that's actually the only time in the game that a Christmas card really interacts with the presence deck in a direct way, and it blocks anybody from drawing a present, looking through the presence deck, or shuffling it, or interacting with it in any way, unless they are specifically instructed to do so by another card in a way that references Scrooge, and says you can grab a present even if Scrooge is on the deck. But in every other case, you are blocked from drawing a present, which means at the beginning of your turn, you would have to draw a Christmas card if you're able to do so, which usually you are, but there's cards that also block that. So Jack Frost is the opposite of Scrooge in that he blocks the Christmas cards deck. These cannot both be on decks at the same time. In fact, on the instructions, one will say remove the other. So if you play Scrooge, it clearly says remove Jack Frost if he is in play, and vice versa. And all that means is that you're going to discard them. So the main thing I wanted to tell you there is that there are a number of cards which will also allow you to remove Jack Frost or Scrooge, and they might say things like scare off Scrooge if he's in play, or remove Jack Frost. There's a variety of language. All that ever means is that you're going to take them off the deck and put them in the discard pile. They are never removed from the game entirely, just thrown in the discard pile. So just wanted to mention that and make it clear.